Social Security letter, watch for it, it's important. I have all the details and exactly what you need to know right here in the video. Let's get right into it. I know in this video we're specifically focusing on all Social Security beneficiaries and anybody that receives benefits administered by the Social Security Administration, which is well over 71 million people. Well, in this video I do want to talk about a letter that everybody is going to be getting if you have not received it already. I want to talk about the details of this letter, why it is so incredibly important, and what you need to look for with this letter and why you may want to hold on to it for at least a little while. We've got a lot to talk about here in the video. Let's get into it and talk about this mysterious letter and what it actually means, why it is so incredibly important. Really fast before we do, thanks so much for joining me. If you have not done so yet, make sure to do yourself a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button right down below the video. It's totally free to do so, and I'm here for you right by your side every single day, watching all the details hitting the wire, all the new announcements, packages, bills, proposals, anything like that. Anything coming up right now that may impact you, your money, your benefits, your lifestyle, your bank account, or anything popping up you can possibly grab and or take advantage of, including but not limited to money, benefits, raises to benefits, checks, programs, stimulus checks, anything else like this. Of course, I'm going to bring it to your attention immediately and continue to advocate on your behalf every single day right here in this community and right here in these videos. So again, thanks for joining me. Really do appreciate it. Please subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and also feel free to share this video with your friends, family, social media, especially everybody else out there who is receiving fixed income benefits, so they can be very aware of this information and what is going on right here, right now. 2024, it's a busy one so far, and I guarantee you this is just the start of a lot more to come. Anyway, thanks for being here. Truly do appreciate it. I really appreciate literally every single one of you right here in the community. And again, thanks so much. Let's get into it and talk about the details of this letter, a mysterious letter. Your pen pal is Social Security. Well, I don't know if that's the best pen pal in the whole world, but you get my point, right? So anyway, let me explain this letter that everybody's going to be receiving. And again, maybe some of you have already received it, but if not, you certainly want to pay attention for this because this is actually a very important one. And again, this information that's enclosed on this letter may not actually apply, as in you might look at the letter and think, I don't really care about this. It doesn't pertain to me. Well, it probably actually does. You may want to hold on to it. And again, I will focus on all that here in the video, okay? So here's what's going on. This is the time of year where there's a lot of people out there, as in a lot of different documentation going out, and even Social Security beneficiaries will be receiving this document from Social Security. What is it? It is your SSA 1099 or SSA 1042S. Now, what are these documents? Basically, what these documents are is the documentation showing exactly how much Social Security paid you in 2023 with your monthly benefit. Now, you might be thinking, are you kidding me? Seriously, I already know what this is. I know how to do basic math. I can just take my benefit amount and multiply it by 12 months and boom, there you go. I know how much I got paid, or I just know how much hit my bank account every single month. Well, yes, this is true, but this is official documentation. Now, again, here's why you may want to hold on to this documentation. And again, I don't really know what's going to go on this year, okay? I have no clue. We have speculation. We can guess. We can have our best educated guesses and guesstimations. That's a fun word right there, right? But anyway, we can put all these different ideas out there as far as what we may suspect will happen in 2024. However, when you receive this documentation, here is what I would highly recommend. I would highly recommend holding on to this letter for at least the entire year of 2024. Now, you might be thinking, that's nuts. This doesn't pertain anything to me. Why would I hold on to this letter? I don't need it. Now, here's the thing. This letter is actual official documentation from Social Security showing exactly how much you got paid in 2023. Okay, got it. We know this, right? Just like a W-2, something like this, that you were to get, or like 1099 from anybody else if you do some kind of like subcontract work or something like that. It's an official tax document. Now again, I know a lot of you here in the community do not file tax returns. That's fine, which by the way, this is not tax, accounting, or legal financial advice in any way, shape, or form. If you're somebody that typically does not file a tax return, that's fine. But here's the deal. Remember a couple years ago when we had stimulus checks roll out, okay? Again, I'm just referencing back for a quick little point here, okay? Remember a couple years ago when stimulus checks rolled out, what were a couple things that they made some people do in order to get the stimulus check? I'll give you a little hint. They made people file a tax return, a federal tax return. Even some people that typically do not file a tax return, they said, hey, the only way you can get a stimulus check is by filing a tax return. Well, guess what? What kind of documentation do you need in order to file a tax return? You need official documentation of all income you've received. Well, guess what the SSA 1099 or SSA 1042S tells you? Your exact income that you receive from Social Security, okay? This documentation. Now, again, I'm not saying that we're going to get for sure a stimulus check in 2024. I have no clue. However, my point is, basically what we're seeing right now and everything that I'm reading right now and looking at the economic picture, everything that we're seeing right now, we're like seeing a major economic contraction, right? Like we are seeing the signs of this right now, okay? This is like a thing that many people are talking about, and this is a thing that is likely going to happen like right now, like very, very soon, okay? In the event of another major recession or economic contraction, what do we see during that time? We see a lot of money printing and we see stimulus checks being distributed. We've seen this every single time over the last, call it 23 plus years, okay? So this time would be no exception to the rule. It'll probably happen again. Well, as a result of that, in some rare instance where they send out checks or something like this and they say, hey, we weren't able to send out checks for this certain group of people, the only way you can get it now is by filing a tax return. Well, guess what? You're going to need this documentation in order to file a tax return if this actually plays out, and if if checks or something like this were to be distributed, and if they were to say, you got to file a tax return to get it. Now, generally, you don't typically need to file a tax return in order to get stimulus checks. Remember, typically what happens is those people that typically file a tax return, the IRS already has that information. For those people that do not file a tax return and receive fixed income benefits like Social Security, well, generally, the Social Security Administration sends over the documentation, as in the files of all the beneficiaries, over to Treasury, and then they start processing those payments. But there are some people that fall through the cracks. Happens every single time. We saw it a few years ago. And then they say the only way you can get a check now is by filing a tax return, which, by the way, if you did not receive stimulus checks from a couple years ago, that is still the only way you can get a check right now is by filing a tax return, okay? Just saying. My point is, this documentation you're getting from the Social Security Administration, as in your SSA 1099 or documentation showing you exactly how much they paid you in the calendar year of 2023, is the documentation you'll need in order to do that in the event this happens, okay? I'm just saying. It's going to save you a lot of work. It's going to save you a lot of time. And honestly, it's going to save you a headache in the event that something like this were to happen. And if you have that documentation at your disposal, like in your possession, and you can just whip out that little page and be like, here, this is exactly what I got. Here's the official document from Social Security. If you can whip that out and do that, boom, you've got it, right? At that point, it makes it a lot easier to get that type of payment, right? So I'm just saying, or if you have somebody help you, if you have that official documentation, it's going to be a lot easier, because when it comes down to tax returns and stuff like that, you cannot guess. You can't be like, well, I don't know, I think I got like $6,000 or something. That's not how it works, okay? There's no guessing games when it comes to tax returns. You've got to be right on, okay? It is not a little thing like, well, I'm just going to take my best educated guess on this one. That's not how it works, okay? The IRS would not like that, okay? My point is, you've got to be right on this stuff. And this document shows you exactly that, okay? So this is the time of year where we get a lot of documentation. Over the last couple months here, we've received a few different announcements and different letters that have shown up for many of us here in the community from Social Security. Again, hold on to those. And then this is the time right now where you get that official document. Well, technically, it's supposed to be postmarked by the end of January is when, all these types of documents are supposed to be postmarked, is January 31st of, the current year for the previous year. So that is when all documentations are supposed to be sent out. W-2s, 1099s, all this tax documentation needs to be at least postmarked by that date. So the point is, if you have not received it yet, you should be receiving it here very soon. Kind of depends on a variety of factors when people receive this type of stuff. Obviously, where you're located in the country, whether you're, urban or rural, things like this. There's a ton of different factors. But my point is, it'll be arriving for everybody. Another thing you can do as well, if you'd like to, you can always log on to your My Social Security account on the Social Security website, and you can check it out right there. It should have that documentation on there as well. If it's not uploaded or if it's not current yet, you can probably check it out, and it'll be there at some point. So that's another option as well. If you're signed up for a My Social Security account on the Social Security website, if you're not, it's not required. You do not need to. Just saying, it's a helpful tool. I have it. I don't go on there very often, maybe once every 3-4 months, something like that. Just pop in, check it out, make sure everything looks good, nothing looks suspicious or weird, and then I just get off there because there's honestly no reason to poke around on there, right? But again, it's a great tool to have, to kind of play around with, to look at every so often, maybe once quarterly, every semi-annually, something like that, and just to check in, make sure everything looks good. So that's another option as well. Otherwise, I want to bring this to your attention really quickly. I would recommend holding on to it, but at the end of the day, you definitely do not need to listen to me. Okay, that's just my recommendation. That's all I'm saying. But you don't need to listen to me. Do whatever you want with it. If you want to torch it, go for it. If you want to throw it in the burn pile, go for it. If you want to feed it to the dog, I mean, by all means, if that's what you want to do, then do what you want to do for yourself, okay? I'm just saying. All I would do is I would just hold on to that documentation. You never know what's going to come this year, and at that point, just want to point that out for you. So I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. It's already been a busy year so far, and there's a lot more going on. I guarantee it. Between now and the end of the year, it's going to be a busy time. There's going to be a lot of things popping up, and it's all about you, the low-income and fixed-income beneficiaries, for the entire year of 2024. And again, even after that, depends on what happens in November, 2025 and beyond, it's going to be all about the fixed income. So it's not just this year alone. This year is very important, but beyond this year as well, also very important stuff. So anyway, I've got you. I'm here for you in any way that I possibly can be. Again, as always, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet. Share the video with your friends, family, social media so they can also be aware of this information. Leave a comment, question, feedback down below. Go back and check out any of the other thousands of videos here on the channel, including those that I have linked down below in the description. Otherwise, that's about it. Enjoy your day. Take care. Have a good one. And I'll catch you again later in the next video.